Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're tackling a challenge that honestly trips up way too many people. But trust me, it really shouldn't. We're talking about General Training Writing Task 1. So I want you to think of this explainer not as some dry, boring grammar lesson, but as your ultimate playbook. We're going to completely unpack the rules of the game, the strategies you need to execute, and exactly what it takes to actually win.
Here's how our playbook breaks down today. First, we'll look at the basics of Task 1. Second, choosing the right style. Third, we'll run through some common everyday scenarios. Fourth, we'll analyze a sample prompt together. And finally, we'll wrap up with the winning assessment strategy.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the basics of Task 1 and getting to know the rules.
So right out of the gate, you've got this ticking clock. Your absolute hard constraints here are 20 minutes and a minimum of 150 words. Now, I really don't want you looking at this as some huge, daunting exam hurdle. Seriously, try to frame it as a fun, fast-paced challenge. 20 minutes goes by in an absolute flash, meaning you just do not have the time to sit there and second-guess yourself. You've got to get in, execute your strategy, hit that 150-word mark, and get out. It's a sprint, not a marathon. And what exactly are you sprinting to create? Well, it's actually super simple. The output they're looking for is just a personal response, basically a letter or an email, and you'll write this directly right there in the provided booklet. Honestly, there are no trick questions here, no hidden sneaky essays. You are quite literally just writing a letter. Moving right along this Section 2, choosing the right style, or the mechanics of the game. Now, what's genuinely interesting here is how you have to choose the tone of your letter based entirely on who's reading it, your audience. There are 3 distinct writing styles you need to know. First up is informal, which is normally exactly how you'd write to a friend. You can be totally relaxed here. Second is semi-formal. This is for someone you maybe haven't personally met, but you have a specific defined relationship with. Think like a landlord or a school principal. It's that slightly awkward but incredibly important difference between texting your best buddy and writing to a landlord you've somehow never actually laid eyes on, but who, fixes your plumbing. You definitely wouldn't use slang with your landlord, right? And then finally, we have the formal style. And this setup brilliantly illustrates that formal style. You're going to use this when writing to someone higher up than you in position or authority. Take a look at these examples straight from the source material. Applying to a company for a new job, resigning from a job you already have, making a formal recommendation, or maybe complaining to a big brand about a product or service. Look, if you're demanding a refund from a massive faceless corporation, you aren't going to be informal, are you? You're going to put on your professional hat and mean business.
Okay, on to Section 3, common everyday scenarios, basically the board we're playing on. So your letter is always going to have a very specific purpose. You might need to request some information or provide it. You might need to express a necessity, something you absolutely desperately need. Or maybe you have to give your opinion, register a complaint, or you might even be asked to make suggestions and recommendations. Notice how standard all of this is? These are pretty much actions you probably take in your normal everyday communication anyway. Let's ground this with a few specific examples from our source material. So you might find yourself writing to a college accommodation officer about housing problems. Or maybe you're writing to a new employer explaining some time management issues. How about writing to a local newspaper about a proposed plan to develop a nearby airport? Or, if we shift back to the informal side for a second, just writing to a friend to ask for advice on moving to their city. See, these are highly relatable, incredibly common, everyday scenarios. That brings us to Section 4. Analyzing a sample prompt, the live drill.
Let's put this into practice and draw our attention right to this actual real-world sample prompt. It reads, you live in a room in college which you share with another student. However, there are many problems with this arrangement and you find it very difficult to work. Write a letter to the accommodation officer at the college. I love this because it totally demystifies what the actual exam looks like when it's sitting right there on the page in front of you. Plus, we know immediately that this is a semi-formal or formal situation, right? Because we're writing to an official accommodation officer. Now, I really want you to notice those 3 bullet points in the prompt. This right here is your methodical attack plan. The best part? You do not need to invent a structure from scratch. They literally give it to you. Step 1, describe the situation. Step 2, explain your problems and why it's difficult to work. And Step 3, say what kind of accommodation you would actually prefer. If you tackle these strictly chronologically, maybe dedicating a short little paragraph to each one, you're going to easily hit that 150-word minimum and fully answer the prompt. So the absolutely crucial point here, and please, whatever you do not miss this, is to follow the exact instructions listed at the very bottom of the prompt. It explicitly says, you do not need to write any addresses.
And it also tells you exactly how you should begin. Dear Sir or Madam. Seriously, just skip the physical addresses. Do not waste your precious 20 minutes inventing some fake street name. Just take the exact opening they are handing to you on a silver platter and run with it.
And finally, Section 5, the winning assessment strategy. So what's the main task focus here? The ultimate goal of this entire challenge is, quite simply, to prove your ability to follow standard English letter writing conventions. That's it. They aren't grading you on your creative fiction writing skills, okay? They are grading you strictly on your ability to format and deliver a standard, coherent piece of correspondence. And this greeting checklist right here reveals exactly how you're going to be judged. First up, what order do you put your information in? Hint, remember those 3 bullet points we just talked about? Second, what style is being used? Are you accidentally using slang with the CEO, or are you keeping it perfectly formal? Third, are you starting and finishing the letter correctly? Fourth, is your language accurate and appropriate? And then finally, organizing and linking your information cohesively. Listen, having clear transitions is just as vital as having perfect grammar. If your letter flows beautifully from one point to the next, I guarantee the graders are going to reward you for it.
Well, we've officially reached the end of the playbook. You know the constraints, the styles, your attack plan, and exactly what's on the grader's checklist. But look, knowing the rules is really only half the battle. The real question is, how are you going to perform under the pressure of that 20-minute ticking clock? So here's what you do. Grab a timer, set it for 20 minutes, and go tackle a practice prompt today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.